off. Turn it off, and then just click it between 0 and 1. It'll within 24 hours, everything's frozen solid. So, would you like a refrigerator that freezes everything solid? You could put a keg.
Merry Christmas, everyone, and a Happy New Year.
And keep the change, you filthy animal.
I don't have you turned on.
Yeah, I was going to say, I didn't hear.
Let's do that again. Merry Christmas.
And keep the change, you filthy animal.
Welcome to Tackle Shop Live. Scott Luckoff, how are you, buddy? Kent Collins, how you doing?
See this, Nick?
What's up, Sammy? WB Jones, how are you? St. Chris is in the house. Jeff Riddle, Jack Hinkle, what do you say, man? Michael, Kevin Carpenter, how you doing, Kevin? Long time.
Chris Shoplock, baby.
Chris Shoplock, what's up, Chris? Johnny Kopp, Merry Christmas, everybody. Mark, how you doing? Irod, what's up, bro? Roland Barker, Abigail, how you doing? Colby, what's up, Colby? Mike Sellers. Wow. Great crowd tonight. Todd Langle, everybody. Sean Taylor, how you doing? Jeff Miller, what's up, Paul? Man, we got a great show for you guys tonight. This was our show tonight was brought. Well, first of all, I'm Mike. This is George. That's CG. Corbin CG got Walt.
Yes.
The G stands for Get the Net.
Got my Christmas sweater on, Bobby.
Don't forget cameraman Nick.
And cameraman Nick's in the house.
How's it going? And you know what's funny about this, Nick? Mike told us we were supposed to have this week off, and we said, no, we coming. We coming for the people.
We fought the law.
We are coming for the people, bro. Now, next week I might not be here, but I'm here now.
Yeah. JR, thanks, buddy. Thanks, everybody, for the Christmas wishes. And, again, Merry Christmas to everybody. I hope your family, you and your family have a great, safe holiday. We're so glad you guys stopped in tonight. But anyway, we're going to do this. We're going to do this show tonight. It was we've been kind of pestered with it from many listeners out there about number one, the history of Susquehanna fishing tackle, where how we started, what people just, I guess, are interested in that story, but then also
they might want to make it into a movie.
But then also we're going to get into the tackle business and from when we got into it 32 years ago to the way it is right now, and all the changes that we had to go through to be competitive in this market. And so we want to talk about that a little bit, and then the third thing we want to talk about is the game changers, the baits that changed the game throughout the years. That we're not talking about little game changers. We're talking about massive market moving, industry changing stuff. So we got a list of that stuff we're going to talk about tonight also, and bring it along as we come through the years. But George and I and my father were really, the history of Susquehanna fishing tackle started with my father, who has been he was the guy who kind of wanted to get something going. He was he really wanted something for retirement. That's really what he was doing. And my brother was in college at the time. He was going to Millersville College. And I was kind of in college too. I think he was just getting ready to graduate. And I just started college.
I was graduating with my doctorate in astrophysics.
You graduated with a doctorate with the BS, as in the BS bullshit.
Mike, did I ever tell you about one of my professors? Now, he used to come in here and shop with us after I graduated.
Yeah.
And he told me, quote,
he still comes in here.
No, not Bill Shotta.
Oh, okay.
Another professor.
Oh, okay.
We're gonna call him Professor Anonymous.
And he told me, quote, that he'd never met anyone in his 40-year tenured career that fished as much as I did and still graduated.
And hunted, right?
And you know what I told him?
What?
You ain't never met anybody that did it the right way. I said, I'll be getting my diploma next week. Come on.
Yep.
Tonight, I want to thank one of our great customers, Brian, for the beverages tonight. He brought in some pint
5 stars.
aluminum 5-star aluminum bottles.
Yep.
Well, no, aluminum cans.
Is that what they call that?
A bottle would be glass.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, they would call
No,
it.
wait a minute. It could be an aluminum
I
bottle.
think it's
Aluminum
called. I think
pints.
it's called
They're aluminum pints.
Aluminum pint bottles.
Yeah. We should probably call Joe Thompson because this is what he drinks.
Yeah.
And Mike, it does say pint on it right there in big.
Yeah, I know, but I think it's called.
So it's an aluminum bottle.
bottle pint. Yeah, pint size.
Well, it was
Pint
a
size.
clutch. It was.
But
a
anyway,
clutch delivery.
Brian, whatever it is, these guys will argue all day long.
Yeah.
Oh, I love
Brian.
it. I love it.
Thank you so much for the present. We appreciate that very much. Also,
I got
Mark and Renee
Yeah.
dropped off a whole big giant thing of cookies last week. Huge, big giant deal.
Lisa Lake.
Lisa Lake, and they were fantastic. So Mark and Renee, thank you so much. They were fantastic.
They were fantastic.
We're fantastic. And you are fattening us up nice for the kill. So
Yeah.
thank you guys. We appreciate that.
Yeah. Well.
And plus many other guys. We got a bottle of scotch from Andre. Thank you, Andre. We appreciate that.
Hey, now.
and Mikey.
We're going to be tapping
This
into
is
that.
like hot off the back door. I tried to get him to come in.
Who's that?
Oh, but you know it.
Kevin Bauman.
No.
Jeff Barley.
Jeff Barley and the Barley Farms.
The Barley
I mean,
clan.
That's the finest
Hold-
chicken in town, baby.
Hold that plate up so we can see it.
I mean, this right here
Whole big plate of
is to
Got to
Jeff.
give her a tilt.
I mean, I don't want to spill it.
yeah, don't spill it.
I mean,
Look
I
at that
told him I was
stack.
trying to give him to, like, video bomb me in the
Yeah.
back, but he
That's
had his headset on.
I
And
I got dibs on the Buckeyes, so don't touch this.
Oh, you're an Ohio State fan, are you?
That's right. But anyway, everybody, you guys are so nice to us, and we really appreciate it. Really, we really appreciate it. But it's definitely not necessary. So let's get this going here.
Well,
so
not to mention the about 3/4 of a skid of Miller Lite that's been delivered here in the last week.
Brian Setlock,
To everyone out there in SFT
Brian,
land
yeah,
that thought enough of us to drop by some supplies. We thank you very, very much.
we will make good.
I'd like to take a moment
Yeah,
and thank myself
yes.
because I brought you guys something too.
Well,
I mean, I brought you guys a case of beer. Or
I
two.
know.
I mean, Snoop Dogg's famous for thanking himself, so I figured I might as well thank me.
Well, the other thing is Corbin brought us sweatshirts, Z-Man brand new Z-Man sweatshirts, which are cool as hell.
Oh.
And I was going to change out, but I thought the red was a little bit more festive,
Yeah.
so I wanted to stay with the red. But
Well, not to mention
he brought us.
Our-
our good friend of the show, Sean Carpenter.
Yeah.
Is going to appreciate
Yeah,
your
Sean
sport in
Carpenter.
the high seas fishing.
Yeah.
Sean's going to be here for Bass Fest, by the way.
That's awesome. I can't wait.
Yeah, Sean, great guy. So Susquehanna Fish and Tackle was a brainchild of my dad and brother, really. They were looking at some different businesses to go into. I mean, we looked at archery, we looked at hunting. They looked at, I don't even know, what else did you guys get into? You're looking at
cabinet making.
cabinet making. They had all kinds of things that they were looking at, and somehow settled on fishing tackle, selling fishing tackle, and to sell fishing tackle only and not get into like other sporting goods stuff. So that was the whole concept behind it, right?
Yeah, I don't recommend anyone ever do that again in the history of mankind, because that's a tough road to hell.
It was really tough, but it was a great ride. It was a fun ride, but so him and my father started this thing, and we opened up our first store, and then I jumped on. I was going to college, and I was taking business management and business courses.
Well, I mean, to be perfectly honest, your timeline's a little skewed. You were day one.
Yeah, I was. I mean, I was day one, but
you weren't day one behind the scenes, but you were day one from May 1st, 1989. Go.
Yeah, no, I was, but I wasn't so.
We've
much,
been beating you like a rented mule ever since.
I wasn't so much like brain.
I wasn't even born yet, boys.
So,
hey, real quick question, guys. So,
yeah.
1989, you say, right?
Yeah.
May 1st.
May 1st,
May 1st.
1989. So, George and Mike,
Yeah.
The doors open, and I'm the first customer. What am I seeing in 1989?
Well, first of all, you have to understand you got to kind of think about where the fishing tackle industry was. Okay, so I'll give you some things to think about. Fenwick, who was one of the founding rod companies in the United States, G. Loomis and Fenwick, Lamaglass, they kind of started the U.S. rod business. St. Croix
a little bit, yeah.
But Fenwick had just sold. So, the Woodstream Corporation in Lidditz, Pennsylvania, which made Fenwick fishing rods. They didn't make the rods there, but they distributed them.
Yeah.
Amongst other things.
Tackle boxes.
They were closing.
Tackle boxes
they were closing. They were closing. Fenwick was selling, and that was one of your first major acquisitions of a iconic American brand going overseas.
Yeah.
Wait a second here, George. Did you just say what I think you said? Fenwick has local ties to the Lancaster area. Is that true? I mean,
yeah, they had
I didn't know that.
Fenwick was owned by a company called Woodstream.
Okay.
Which was based in
Lidditz, Pennsylvania.
Lidditz, Pennsylvania.
Okay. The rods were made West Coast, but in '89 they had already sold, and they were so. That's what you got to, Nick. You got to think about that. The other thing you have to think about is for all you younger people that are hardcore fishermen, 80% of the brands, when you come into SFT and you get lost in the aisles, 80% of what you look at did not exist. Okay?
Yeah. Wow.
80%, 80% of what you look at did not exist. So when you came into, Susquehanna Fishing Tackle on opening day,
there was no Shimano.
You had a very small, modest shop, like most places, underfunded, humble beginnings. And you saw, a small but very select rod selection. I think we might have opened our doors with less than 100 rods in stock, and the bait brands were much narrower. I mean, you had your bomber crankbaits and your cotton cordels. You had your Smithwicks. You had your Rebels.
They were around back then?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know.
Oh, yeah. This is before Pradco bought them all and effed them all up.
Got it.
Yeah. They were all individual companies back then.
You had your Mr. Twister.
All individual companies.
Shout out to Daryl, right?
Yeah.
You had your Zoom was just starting. Zoom was just getting going. Zoom existed, but Zoom was just barely moving.
Weren't they in Florida at the time or Georgia?
No,
Georgia.
They were where they are today.
Was Bill Lewis around back then?
Bill Lewis was around, and Bill Lewis was changing hands at the time also. Bill Lewis changed hands. Bill Lewis was a very popular crankbait company in the early days, but they were on the verge of bankruptcy from day one. And actually, when Pradco bought them, was the first time, and Pradco bought them out of bankruptcy. Wow. So, you had those iconic brands.
Wait a second.
George,
Pradco owns Bill Lewis? Is that what you said, Bill Lewis?
Bill Lewis. No, Bill Norman.
Norman.
Yeah, Bill Norman.
I was going to say, whoa.
Yeah.
Bill Norman.
Wait,
my bad.
Time out.
I got people talking in both ears at the same time. So, Bill Lewis is still standalone.
Yeah, they're standalone.
Yeah, and they existed then.
Yeah.
And George, was Mans around back then? I know Mans has been around for some time with the big 1 mile.
Mans, yeah.
Well,
so that's what you would have. Nick,
Charlie Brewer was just starting too.
That's what you would have seen. You would have seen. Yeah, Charlie Brewer
was kind of new.
Slider worms.
The slider phenomenon was taking place then.
So
Eagle Claw.
So if you don't mind me asking,
Mustad.
I mean, whose spinnerbaits were you carrying? Whose jigs were you carrying? I mean,
mostly local made stuff. There wasn't a lot of national brands.
Stanley back then.
Stanley, okay.
Yeah.
Yep. And obviously Rebel had a pop bar for a top water bait and that kind of stuff. But cool.
Yes.
Cool.
So it was a lot of that. But
Strand line.
But 1989,
Berkeley.
we opened in a 900 square foot store. in
$950.
Yeah, $950, and it was a shop in Smoketown, Pennsylvania. This is where I'm telling you, it was like Amishville, USA. It really was way down in the Amish country.
Mm-hmm.
And we made a lot, and actually made a lot of really good Amish friends back then, in those days. And those guys are serious fishermen, serious hunters. I mean, they're no joke. Really, literally no joke. They fish. Some of those guys are fish as hard as we do.
So this is going to be like kind of a periodic question as you guys go through your transition of evolution and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But what was the market like of fishermen compared to now? I mean, considering your live bait fishermen versus your artificial, because a lot of people in that age, they were fishing a lot of artificial or a lot of like live bait, right? Did you still have a lot of people fishing artificial bait back then, or was it maybe a live bait market? Or
the bass market was starting, and the reason we got into it was because the bass craze was really starting to get going. I mean, it was. There was tournament fishing going on. There was local tournament fishing going on. You couldn't find the stuff that you were really looking for. And part of what George and my father were looking at was, for us to go get anything we wanted to fish, we had to drive to Baltimore or we had to drive to Philly to get what we wanted, because there was only shops that were really doing it. And there was just nothing in our area. So that's really how we got started. And the consumer was asking for it, so that we just filled that gap. But then, moving on, it was May of 1989. I'm going to try to get through the progression here before we really get delved into all this tackle. But that was May of 1989. A year later, we moved into the next door building. So it was a clothing store next door, and it was 1,500 square feet. And the guy came to us to own the building and said, "Listen, you guys can move over there for the same rent. We just want to, I think we can fill this smaller space quicker than we can the bigger space. And you guys can take that over." So we moved from, it was literally next door, into a bigger shop. And we were growing nice. We were selling a lot of tackle. A lot of guys were finding out about us. And that was in a year later, May of 1990. We did that. I think we kind of started on it in the winter, but it was easy move because all we had to do was, like, on a Saturday and Sunday, we just went next door.
Yeah.
It was pretty simple. A lot of help from our friends, and started to build really true long friendships with our customers.
Many
starting in 1989.
last to this day.
And it's unbelievable how many guys are still coming in and are still friends, and still, we just lost a good one, Habby the other.
Did.
And Habby was one of the original guys that came into our shop, and I always say they start out as customers, then they become friends, and then they become dear friends.
Yeah.
That's the progression of and we have a lot of dear friends that are longtime Susquehanna Fish and Tackle supporters. That's been with us for 32 years. So that's pretty cool. And very humbling to me and George. So that was in May of 1990. And then around September 1993, we moved again. 1993 was the year that I just want to forget. Matter of fact, I erased it. I didn't erase it, but I took all my sales stuff and my accounting stuff, and I just shrunk the column. I got rid of it. 1993 was the year we almost went out of business. We were inches away from total bankruptcy. And if you remember, it was...
Was that the year you got hooked on crack?
Or was that the golf?
Or did you get hooked on the golf that year?
I think I got hooked on the golf.
Okay. I knew it was crack or golf. It was one of them things. I think it was the golf.
I think it was golf.
Yeah.
I'm such an asshole.
Oh boy! And so begins, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
And
So in 1990,
just stay off the gulp.
for all you guys who don't know, but for a lot of you that know, in 1993 was the Gulf War.
Right.
And that's when the Gulf War started, and I don't know. Me and George and my dad, it was our 5th year in business, and we were gearing up. The spring was really something. So in March and April of 1993, we were like, we're going to freaking kill this. And then the war started, and we had tons of tackle, and we bought like crazy, because we were going to really make a move on this tackle business.
We were taking Johnny out.
Yeah, we were really we were really starting to, to do this, and
he was going down.
And this war started, and everybody wanted to watch the war on TV. They stopped doing. The Earth stopped, and they stopped going outside. They literally stopped going outside, and they watched the war on TV, and we freaking tanked that year so bad that we moved out of that shop, and my dad somehow found this shop right next to where he was working at the time, and that shop was a hard one. Man. We went in there and built another shop. We built a great shop out of it, but it was really, really hard. It was really hard because it was pretty bad.
We turned chicken shit into chicken salad.
Yeah, that's what we did.
But it was a
building thing for us.
The building itself was old.
Yeah.
It was rough.
Yeah.
But the building doesn't define who you are.
No, we made it. We made it right.
We went in and we basically gutted the building.
Yep.
At night, after we would close after business hours,
yep.
we would go in there at night and put our, tool belts on like Tim Taylor and get our power saws out and deal with our local ordinance people who had a book about 7,000, made War and Peace look like a dime store novel of all the code rules. And we built a store.
Yeah.
And we made it nice. And then we, fast forward a couple years,
Hold up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hold up. I'm getting there. I'm working through the progression here.
Yeah, well, it's just like a couple years.
Yeah. It really is. It's only 2 years because it really was like George said. We
grew quickly there.
We really kind of got things back on track. We had some great relationships with our banks and just made some great stuff going.
I learned something back then. If you take your bankers fishing and put them on the frickin' juice, it's a home run.
Yeah. And then right next door to the shop was
it was in the same building.
Yeah, it was right next door. It was like
the other wall.
It was another wall there. There actually was that little other shop in between there.
Yeah,
but there was this other shop right next to it was a tanning salon. It was a little bit bigger. It was a lot nicer. Really kind of.
They had some other projects in that tanning salon going.
But it was a tanning salon, so it had a million walls and rooms in there. And me and my dad and brother, again, after work, we had put in.
We gutted it.
Those what were those things you throw all that shit in?
Dumpsters.
The big long dumpsters. I don't know if they call them dumpsters.
Roll-offs.
We had 2 roll-offs put in there.
Gutted it.
We go in there and bust out all these freaking rooms of a tanning salon. It was like a 12-room tanning salon. The back.
There was a lot more than tanning.
The back row of them though was not tanning. It was the blue. It was
the UV grow lights.
UV grow lights. So, and potting soil all over the floor. I couldn't quite figure that out.
Really?
I couldn't figure it out. I couldn't put the pieces together.
Maybe he was a gardener, green thumb.
He might have been.
Nice guy too. Remember, he used to scream at us the whole time.
Oh, he was a horrible freaking individual.
Beautiful man.
He died, and we felt bad for it. Said a couple prayers for him, but
yeah, we did.
We
tore it apart.
But we stayed.
And another one of our longtime customers
helped us.
Stepped in.
Well, twice he did.
Well, yeah, but he stepped in and he said, "You know what? I don't like the way this ceiling line is."
Yeah.
And he was a drywall ceiling guy.
Yep.
And we dressed it up.
Yeah.
And we made it nice. And
he was a great guy. He helped us out tremendously. And it's funny. It's a lot of customers, a lot of friends that helps you and get you going. It's not just on us. We had a lot of help from our friends who really did help us. But the demolition always seemed to fall on me and George. We always seem to really have to do
dirt warriors
labor. My dad would rip it all down and he'd say, "All right, I got a big pile over there and throw it in the dumpster." So my pop, man, he is a visionary. He was the guy who had the vision of every shop that we built, even to this day, to the shop that we're in, which we're going to get to here in a minute. But he just can look at something and he can say that, like George said, that pile of chicken shit, he can turn that into chicken salad, and he just had that eye, and we called him MacGyver because he can just figure stuff out, So
that was
in September.
Physical location number 4.
That was in September of 1995. We moved in there.
Physical location number 4.
Yep, and we stayed there until our last move. But in between there, we started SFTtackle.com, and back then it was called Susquehanna Fishing Tackle.com.
Well, shout out to the inventor of the internet.
Yeah,
I mean, really.
And guys, so going back to 1993, bad year.
Yeah.
Was it 95 because of the internet that helped?
No, not really. It was not really. The internet for us was very difficult. It was a difficult road. It helped. It helped get our name out. But what it was
when the internet started, the internet was borderline. Was this even going to be viable? I mean, there was literally conversations of like,
it cost you $100,000 to do it.
Is this going to be viable? And
is it going to last?
And the fraud, it was the wild west. I mean,
it's crazy.
I mean, we get these insane orders.
Yeah.
From all over the world, and every one of them was 100% fraudulent.
Brian.
So that transition from the beginning of the internet to actual.
I don't want to really get into that yet.
Legitimate e-commerce.
Yeah. So we're going to get into that transition and talk about that in just a minute. I got a progression here that I want to talk about here. So that was in like January 2005. We started dabbling. I mean, it might have been 2003, 2004 that we started dabbling in the internet. And then, finally it was like, and everybody was in our old shop. It was like, and then we took over the basement of that place, and it was our warehouse, and it was like the dungeon from hell. Had a lot of problems with that place, and we were looking for a place to buy the whole time, and everything was so crazy expensive, and it was like, where do you go? And I told my dad, I finally got, I was looking hard, I was finding something. I told my dad, I said, come over. I said, go over and look at this place one more time. This place that we're in right now. And I'm telling you, it was bad. It was horrible, bad.
She was a rough one.
It was
just our MO.
It was bad. And he came over and he stepped the thing off and he talked to me and he was like, I tell you, buddy, I think it's a lot bigger than you think. For some reason, that back comes down and it's a little less than square foot than you wanted, but I think we can make it work and get you out of here. And, I think, if we do this and do that. Well, anyway, MacGyver.
I'll say MacGyver
starts freaking putting it together. He starts getting this plan made. He starts getting all this stuff made. Me and him are working together with the zoning and getting all that taken care of, getting the price made and see if we can do that. And we finally buy the building. And I'm like, Pop, you're freaking crazy. And he's like, we're gonna make this really nice. And every night after work, what do we do, George?
Every night after work, and
I don't know how many
half a day on Sunday.
Yeah.
Every night after work and a half day on. And the reason I say a half day on Sunday is obviously we're open 6 days a week, so we would come over and work every night after work.
Yeah.
But all work and no play makes Mike and George a dull boy. And the other thing, that particular summer, we had a fire smallmouth bite on the river.
Yeah.
And the river was super low.
Yeah.
And we were, running this insane skinny water in places where there was absolutely no one fishing. And we would just
annihilate them.
Absolutely destroy fish. And we would tow the boat from the river to this shop, and we would load dumpsters with all the demo that the guys created. Because at this point, we had a construction company in here, and we had Pop. And the construction company adopted Pop. Like they were like,
oh yeah.
He kept them ahead of their schedule by doing all the demo.
The hard work,
and every once in a while he'd call me and Mike up. He'd go like, boys, I got a ceiling I got to take down, and it's a little more than I can handle. I need you guys to come over here tonight. And we'd show up at like 7:00 at night, and
he'd probably have a half
tear something down,
tear some shit down.
But anyway, that whole
it was a good process.
Pop really, he was unbelievable. He was absolutely unbelievable, and he had envisioned what this shop turned out, which we love to death. It's a great shop. We're already busted at the seams already, but it was a great shop, and it is a great shop. And the location's great. And
We love it.
Got us out of town.
Plus, we love this community that we're in.
Yeah, great community.
You know, we're actually in the Columbia/Mountville. We're kind of on the border.
Yeah,
and we love both communities. We've been from day one. We've been
working
extremely well accepted by the communities, and
Yeah.
they appreciate the fact that we are, you know, providing jobs.
Yeah,
and that we are providing to their tax base.
Yeah,
and that we are providing to, because a lot of you all travel here.
Yeah,
and you visit our other local businesses.
Yeah.
And some of you will stay the night. You come in for our events.
So
So it's a great thing. We love it.
So, like I said, it was 1989, and then we were fishing tournaments, so that's why we started. And then 1990 and 1993, and I think it was 1993 that George started really catching them. Was that 1993?
Well, I mean, I caught him since I could walk. You know, 1964.
Well, anyway, he's really,
1965.
he really started,
you know, I was shitting my diapers and setting the hook on trouts.
I mean, if George was in the classic in the '80s, Fat Cat Newton won the one back-to-back classics. That's all I'm saying.
Well, and
1967, I got my first bass boat.
Well, we started fishing. We started fishing the Federation, you know, get involved with the Federation and fishing through the whole Federation thing. And we started Lancaster or River Hills Bassmasters in 1990 or 1991.
Yeah, maybe two.
I think it was 90. 2. I think it was like 90 and 91.
Something like
whatever.
that.
It was right in that area. And we started fishing competitively. And we got a group of guys together that were freaking hammers. And I mean, competitive hammers.
Yeah, it was a different, you know, I mean, there's some hardcore Federation clubs now. And what comes to mind to me is the Jersey Bass Nation.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, them freaking guys are like uber competitive, outstanding sticks. Well, back in our day, that's how the Pennsylvania Bass Federation was.
Pennsylvania Bass Federation, because it was all BASS back then. There was no
pre-split.
Other. There was no other thing, and it was super competitive.
Yeah,
and there was 2,200 members.
Wow,
in the Federation.
Active, like, as in they fished every tournament, or just like
active. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. 2,200 members.
Wow.
So you got to fish through them.
Yeah.
So George had, you know, just exceptional career, where in 1994 qualified for the Bassmasters Classic through the Federation. So, you know, which is, you know, state, regional, national, and then classic. So that was in 1994. Unbelievable. Me and him. So we're in business for so many years. We kind of understand the business. Was so excited. Couldn't even stand it. He invited me to the banquet at the Classic, so I had to get a tux, and we went to that. It was just freaking awesome.
Tuxed up.
It was freaking awesome. It was the greatest experience of my life.
Do you remember who we sat with? You remember who we sat with for the champions dinner?
Brian Kerschel's
family.
Yeah. Yeah, because he won the year before.
Yeah, we sat with his mom, his dad, his girlfriend.
Then was killed in the airplane crash, and then we sat with his mom and dad,
and the woman that was also killed with him on that crash worked for Wrangler.
Yeah,
because back then Wrangler sponsored
Wrangler.
Yeah, Wrangler sponsored the Federation. Okay. So what they did was
the guy who won it, you know, each state.
Well, yeah, if you were one of the 5
classic contenders,
right? Yep. You became what they called a Wrangler angler.
So you were a Wrangler angler.
Wrangler angler.
Oh, baby. Right. He's a one-time Wrangler angler, 2-time Bassmaster Classic qualifier. George's
got a stack of jeans like this and about 5,000 shirts in the closet. He never even wore,
dude,
since 1994.
I mean, you can't wear them all.
You can't wear them all. It's impossible.
But the thing of it is that what Wrangler did for you was they gave you expense money, and they paid your entry fees into the invitational tour of your choice.
Yeah.
So
what was it back then? East and West or East? And...
No, it was the invitationals.
Yeah, but they have two two
No.
different.
There was one.
Well, why you say of choice?
Did I say that?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't mean to say that.
I thought maybe there was. Didn't they split that like at some time for like East and West or?
That's a long time ago.
Yeah, whatever. Whatever. But he fished, and then that allowed him to fish professionally for a year.
A little while.
Yeah, he did a year on that, and then
until I ran out of money.
Yeah, but business was growing at the time, and he had to make a decision. And
I ran into this buzzsaw at my second tournament that year.
So that
he was a hot up and comer.
What was his name?
Kevin Vandam.
Oh,
he took my lunch money.
Oh,
he did.
Well, I mean, it's
on the Thousand Islands.
The thing about hang on a second, George.
I hope Ryan Buttermore's watching.
Yeah. Here's the thing about this. And this is the decision that had to be made. I mean, you fish a year, you get your pee smacked, you know what I mean? And then
I mean, I try not to get mine smacked.
I should have said that.
Well, I got mine smacked.
Children's show here.
Yeah.
But that's a building year, and then the second year, is your year. So that's where you got to make the decision. And people just think it's super simple. It's not. It's a very, very, very hard road to plow. Not saying George couldn't do it, but he had to make that decision. So it came to the point where me and him were sitting around and we're like, bro, you either going to fish professionally or you're going to be a tackle shop owner.
Well, it was a little different. I mean,
it was different.
It was a little different. First of all, it was you had to make this place work every day.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Not that that's any different, but you really had to make this place work.
Yeah, and he was working full time. It just wasn't going to.
I was fishing a lot, which I never can say it enough. But to my brother Mike and to my dad Pops, and many of you who will not be named tonight, but you know who you are. You guys made it possible for those first couple years. Because I was fishing a lot. I mean, I was fishing.
The first year he was going 13 weeks.
I was fishing a lot.
Wow.
And,
and it was.
The problem was, I was trying to do it on an opportunity at the wrong time.
Right.
And.
Well, you had to do it.
You had to do it.
We discussed it. It was like.
You had to do it.
Bro, if you don't do this.
It was an opportunity that came up that that any of you out there would have taken.
It was paid.
But it was at the wrong time.
Yeah.
But I would never redo it. But, I remember driving home from my last tournament that year. I got to go one way or the other here because, I'm killing everybody back at the shop.
Plus, you were killing yourself because when you came home, you had a shit ton of work to do.
Yeah, because we were growing rapidly.
And he still had to work.
And so I would catch up and then try to get ahead so I could go fish.
So you could go fish.
But I'll tell you what, we loved it, didn't we?
Love that freaking ride, man.
A lot of your listeners can relate to this because while you're fishing a lot, your brain is also at the shop. Because you got to do, you still got to work.
Nick, I got to ask you to put your head in a different place. There was no cell phones.
Right. That's true.
So there was no contact.
No email, right?
There was no email.
No.
So when I went fishing in the morning, I fished until evening. Right? When it got dark, I came in.
And then he would call.
And then I would call on a phone.
Paper graph.
Right?
Yeah. And it would be like, you son of a bitch.
George was pulling his paper out of his little rants that he was charting that day.
Where's this? Where's that?
It really wasn't like that, because
cool.
These guys held down the fort.
It was cool.
And but that was a turning point for our company.
Well,
so I mean, I'm not saying anything other than if you're a hardcore loyal bass tournament fisherman, if you're a hardcore loyal Federation angler. Now this is before the split,
right?
And one of your guys that goes up through the system and he fished with you the whole way and makes it to the classic.
Yeah,
you back his ass.
You're in.
Yeah,
and all those people checked us out.
Yeah,
and bought and supported us and elevated that a little bit, right?
You back them up, man. You back your peoples up. You back everybody up that that you fish.
And that's just a brotherhood of the Federation.
And that's what George got his name, the governor. Honestly,
yeah. I mean, I want to keep this like conversation on track, but for the people listening, all right, George, I need you to set the stage. What was your rig you were touring across the country when you fished professionally back in the 90s? And then we'll keep moving. Because I mean, like this to me,
I had a sweet ride.
I mean, I want to know trolling motor, grass motor. I mean,
I had a sweet ride.
We want to hear it all, bro.
So,
and what was the price of gas?
So my everyday ride was a Chevy 2-wheel drive half-ton pickup that I bought with a blown motor and a functional but toasted transmission. The guy who had the shop next to ours, where we had moved to on Harrisburg Pike, was a guy by the name of Racecrafters. And he was also the service manager at Faulkner Chevrolet, which was across the street.
Right.
And he told me, he said, I got to get this truck off my lot. And here's what I'm going to sell it to you for.
Was that Big Blue?
That was Big Blue. And he goes, then I'm going to take it across the street. We're going to probably have to push it. And I'm going to build you a motor that you're going to run for 300,000 miles. And I'm going to guarantee it for 100. And then I'm going to put a transmission in there. So I had a rebuilt POS special Chevy, POS edition, two-wheel drive.
Yep.
And then I had a 1989.
Yeah.
1989.
Paul Elias Fishing Edition, Cajun.
Boat number 1.
The first one they made in that series.
Boat number 1.
It was a Kevlar hull.
Yeah.
Aluminum.
Commercials. The commercial used to be they'd walk up to with a
State Trooper.
State Trooper would walk up to the hull and take a 38 out and pull the trigger on the hull, and it wouldn't go through it. That was the commercial.
Had the honeycomb.
How George learned how to drive Pilot Rock.
Had the honeycomb aluminum transmission.
And Paul Elias was the man with that back end. And Paul Elias did the Neil and the Reel. Won the classic with that.
So,
with a Pro V 150 Yamaha.
So you were in an aluminum boat to start?
No. This was a glass boat.
It's a glass Kevlar boat.
18 and a half foot.
This thing
was badass.
This was the badass freaking machine. But
yeah,
with a Pro V 150.
Yeah.
Electronics package was pretty advanced. We had a Eagle paper graph on the console.
And
we had a flush-mounted Lowrance flasher in dash. And then up on the bow, we had a
Eagle, that one that we just took off the jet boat.
No, that was later down the road.
Really?
Yeah, we had a.
I think we just took off the jet boat.
No, that was later down the road. Up on the bow, we had a Lowrance flasher and a Eagle LCD unit.
Okay.
Yeah.
George,
so I'm just letting you know,
George, did they
this whole 4-graph thing ain't nothing new.
Did they make battery chargers back then? I mean, you had what, an 80-pound thrust trolling motor,
24 volt.
We had Motor Guy back then. It was like we were Motor Guy junkies. Everybody was Motor Guy junkies.
I mean,
back then.
I'm just kind of
and it was 24 volt, and that's what you ran, and the 150 Pro, which was a great motor, but it was it was kind of crazy.
I had to throw that in there because we're talking about the history and
yeah. So
she was a sweet ride, boys.
And all along, I got married, and I had kids, and my wife, God bless her soul, put up with me working, a ton of hours. And there's a guy, Eugene's here asking, what's the secret to our success? And the secret to our success was a massive amount of sacrifice. And my wife, my family, everything. We sacrificed, personal time, personal fun. We just sacrificed a lot over the years, and that's what you had to do, to build a business, to do what you got to do. And Bass Pro Shop came along, and started sniffing around and opening these stores up, and it was like, oh, geez, man, what's this going to be all about? Me and George were like, what's this going to be about? And one of our biggest competitors down in Baltimore, Maryland, the fishing shop, which was like
Captain Marcus,
and honestly, kind of how we
state-of-the-art shop,
kind of how we designed our shop, kind of like didn't copy him, but we used his kind of what he was doing to build our shop.
He did a great job.
He did such a great job that we didn't copy it, but we definitely looked close at his shop and did some things, and which I think is a compliment to Mark.
I do too.
You know,
I
definitely,
Mark created,
yeah,
and mastered.
He was the man.
Mark was the man. I mean, back then,
yeah,
Mark was on everybody's radar from coast to coast.
Yeah,
he ran a beautiful shop.
Yeah,
and Mark's secret to success was he worked hard.
He worked hard.
And now Mark owns the charter boat Marley.
Yeah.
Out of Sunset Marina in Ocean City, which is probably, arguably, the most successful charter boat in Ocean City.
Wow.
Yeah, it's won more money than anything.
I mean, you know, that mentality took forward for him. And we learned and absorbed and got to know Mark. And, good stuff.
So, you know, that whole concept of, you know, what keeps you going. So Bass Pro came to town and everybody was like panicking. And a lot of these shops were just like, you know, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to go up against them. I'm not going to do it. And Mark was one of them. He was like, I'm just not going to do it. I have other avenues where I'm going to succeed in. I'm just going to close my shop.
Well, he's fishing a lot then too.
He was fishing a lot and doing a lot of stuff.
He had the Marley going there.
He said, I'm just going to close. And that was a huge freaking, like, me and George were like, oh shit, Mark's closing. What are we going to do? How bad is this going to be? And me and my dad and brother, we sat around and we talked about it. We're like, you know what? F them guys.
Yeah, I mean, it turns out that we have a philosophy here at Susquehanna Fish and Tackle that we've mentioned thousands of times over the years. It's called the turtle mentality.
Yeah.
We tuck our head inside our shell and we worry about what's in that shell.
Yeah, and we just said
we do us.
Yeah, we're like, how, you know, why should we just close up and give up? We're like, you know, we're just going to do our thing. So we kept doing our thing. Do we plan for it? Yeah, we planned for a decrease in business because it was really only, you know, Cabela's was the first one. It was 60 miles away, and Bass Pro was 40 miles away. So we saw a big difference in business, but we planned for it. We planned for the whole entire dip. We planned for the you know, how we were going to come out of it and what we were going to do to come out of it. And it really was just a blip on the radar.
It was
honestly.
Awesome.
Hey guys, like one thing, you know, from being here that can't be overstated, you know, with the success you guys have had and what you said about the guy down in, where is it, Baltimore?
Yeah, he was out on Route 40 between Baltimore and Harvey Grace.
One thing that just can't be overstated is the amount of hard work you guys put in. You know, hard work, even in today's world, still pays off, and that's huge.
And that's honest to God truth.
And I got something else I was going to say. Not just about the hard work, because that's one thing, but the culture. Okay, the culture that you've created, not just within like your employees, your store, but with the rep, with your customers. I mean, the knowledge that you guys do. I mean, the ability to go on a body of water and fish a brand new bait and come into the shop and be like, no, look, like I caught him on this bait yesterday.
Yeah.
And then, you know, it's one thing to be able to sell something, but it's another thing for somebody to be able to take what you're teaching them and go be successful. And like, I think that's hats off to you guys, because at the end of the day, right, people are learning with the modern technologies of what's going on in the industry. And that is something that separates you from everybody else. And I just want to like point that out.
Well, there's another component to that, Corbin, that you know, it's not lost.
Thank you for pointing that out, because that is.
There's another component to that that's not lost on us, and we mentioned it earlier with the people that have been with us since day one. But our staff and our pro staff. So we created a pro staff way back before we could afford to hire a staff. And the creation of our pro staff pre-internet was hardcore fishing guys from a pretty big region that were like-minded, and their number one responsibility was to promote our shop, and the only way to really do it then was either at tournaments or at shows.
Yep.
Right.
Again, before the internet.
Right.
When you saw your first glimpse of the latest and the greatest, it was at the Bass Expo, or it was at Coast to Coast, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm getting to that.
Yep.
I'm getting to that, bro. Getting to it.
I got you.
But
I just wanted to point out the staff and the pro staff,
and that's exactly it. I mean, the people. It's all about the people. But I just want to kind of stay on this whole train here. And then 2004, George, was fishing. We were all fishing and whatever. He made it to the Classic again the second time in 2004. And then we did our thing in 2004 where we, he just went and fished bass. He qualified for the Bass. I mean, it was crazy. Made it to the Bassmaster Classic and fished the Bassmaster Classic a second time in 2004, which was exactly 10 years
later. I'd
later.
like to say you're welcome.
Yeah.
Because I've imparted that knowledge on you over the years, buddy.
Yeah. Righto. Well, I did. I learned a lot from
I still take you out on the river every now and again and whoop your ass out.
You do. And you show me a ton of stuff. And, but, my thing is with that, and George is very humble. He's too humble. He doesn't talk about it. Nobody even knows about all this stuff, about his 2 Classic appearances. I was able to get 1 trophy out of him and hang it on the wall over here. There's supposed to be 2 of them, but there's only 1 because that's all he would give me. And he's just like, it's whatever. And I'm like, no, it's not whatever. It's a huge, giant accomplishment. And he just doesn't he never boasted. He never brought it up. He never talked about it. He never did nothing. It's a huge thing to make it 2 times.
Please, you're making me blush. Let's move on.
Well,
so I mean, it's really a cool thing. And and what it does is it kind of makes us out to what we really are. And we were a fishing shop.
Right.
And to go to what Corbin says, we teach fishing here, and that's what was our success with. We want people to catch more fish, and that's always been what we said. We want you guys to catch more fish. That's what it was all about, and that's kind of the way it went. And then after that, it kind of went to, in 1990. In 1990, I was tasked. Me and George were tasked the duty of getting into the Timonium Bass Expo. And this is what really changed our whole story.
Trajectory.
Because back then it was no internet, no nothing. And I want to kind of get back on track with this stuff, Corbin, and then we'll talk about all this stuff. There was no internet. There was, the only way you could find out about new tackle, the hardcore angler, was to go to these shows and see it in person. You didn't know about it because when you read about it, it was a month later. In the Bassmaster. And then something else would come out was a month later, right?
Well, we would go to the ICAST show, and we would find out from all the manufacturers what's up, what's coming out, what's going to be hot, how blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
But as consumers, since there was no internet, the only inkling you had to that was reporting that was done.
Yeah.
Through articles that are 30 to 50 days behind.
Yeah.
And come January, right after Christmas,
you went to the show.
To the shows
to see the new stuff.
See the new tackle.
Fired up and ready to roll.
And me and George had to explain the new tackle.
And
which was crazy. I mean, we absolutely had, back in those days, we had to educate the consumer to know exactly what the product was. So and that's what we did. Our company.
And our pro staff.
And
that's how the pro staff was created.
And that's how the pro staff was created.
Because what we did was we said, okay, well, we have our local area.
Yeah.
Because you didn't have the internet.
Yeah.
But if we do every show there is on the East Coast.
Yeah.
And I think we did 12 one year.
That was the hard year.
Peak.
That was.
But if we did them all, we would expose ourselves, and we simultaneously would pre-season prepare a mail-in catalog. We would hand you a catalog that was 8, 10, 12, 15 pages. And I'm sure somebody out there has I have the camera ready art for them, because we also did our own camera ready art to save money.
Me and George laid the whole thing out. I mean, that's what we did.
So
my dad.
We would hand these catalogs out. We would do these shows. We would set up, when we first started, we couldn't even afford a trailer. So we made everything fit into trucks. And, so that was part of the evolution of bass fishing. That was part of the evolution of bass tackle. That was part of evolution of the bass industry. It was all occurring simultaneously from coast to coast, north to south. I mean, I'm sitting here at this counter looking at cameraman Nick, and right over his left shoulder is the Don Iovino Splash It hanging on my wall.
Yeah.
That's an awesome bait.
There's everything he makes is hanging there. And now we have known Don Iovino since day one.
Yeah.
Wow.
Don Iovino has traveled to various shows with us because that's how you did it back then.
Yeah.
And, I can look at that wall. I can glance this way and I can see somebody who was there from that day.
Yeah.
And that's, that's the evolution. That's how we met all of you.
Yeah.
And we talked face on, and we had our pro staff, which we were immensely proud of. Yep. Remember, we didn't have any employees.
No.
We had our pro staff, and what we did for our pro staff was they would work shows for us. They would help us set up, tear down. They would help us prep our booth. It took 3 months. And
massive undertaking.
I'm looking at the ticker here, and I see Jack Henkel, OG Rick Ash.
Yeah, shoot. Jack,
when Rick made it to the elites, we sponsored them.
Yeah.
And another name from that era, Jack, who I know you know, is Jeff Cannella.
And
we sponsor, and those guys took our little podunk tackle shop
Podunk
nationwide. Right?
Podunk. I love it.
And people started calling from. I actually have customers from where Jeff Cannella lives in Louisiana.
Yeah.
That will only call their orders in.
Yeah.
I believe
and they only deal with us because we sponsored Jeff Cannella.
Yeah.
And they buy every single piece of tackle that they use because of Jeff Cannella.
Yeah.
So, this is a giant fraternity out there of anglers.
Yeah.
Shops.
Yeah.
Reps.
I mean,
the whole thing is meshed together, and we're just telling a little tiny vein of that story.
Yeah. So what happened?
And I think it's kind of fun. Actually.
It is. It's really fun. And that was, and if you really want to know, we had more fun back in those days than the internet days. Because you had to go to the shows to meet all these people.
Yeah.
Shows are fun, man.
And then the shows just started dropping off. Boom, boom, boom. Next thing you know, the biggest one ever, Timonium, gone.
Yeah.
Well,
gone.
The internet put the kibosh on the shows.
And the internet started really coming along strong, and there was a point in time where people would come in here and tell me and George about something new that we didn't know about.
So,
and that was just crazy. That's bullcrap.
Now, when the internet comes to be, and it starts to grow, Mike and I would go to ICAST many, many times a day, and we would broadcast live to all of you what we were seeing for the first time. So, who needs a show?
Yeah.
I mean, hey, everybody, here's the new KVD 1.5. And standing next to me
is KVD.
Yeah.
And when he was promoting that bait, after our video and after our 2-hour sales meeting, he opened his briefcase up and he gave me one. And he said, "Hey, here you go. Give it a shot." And I remember quite well. I was pre-fishing for a Bass Open on the Upper Chesapeake.
Yeah.
I had one. I had to put it away.
Yeah.
They were eating it sideways. I literally put
Yeah.
it in my boat and I didn't fish with it for 2 months, because it was that good of a thing. So, that whole deal is all part of why the
point where
the show cycle died.
It got to the point where last year, 2021, was the first year that we haven't done
COVID.
shows.
Yeah, COVID.
Well, COVID, but it was coming.
It was coming. It was coming.
It was whatever you want to call it. That was I'll tell you what. It was the first time we haven't done shows in 30 years.
Well, yeah, and
we had a lot of fun.
Thank God. Praise Jesus.
I mean, I don't know. I'm on the pro show.
I'm the guy. Well, I would
Mikey,
still do them like right now. I would still do them, but
bro,
it just.
Quick question.
As a businessman, it's just not the right thing to do anymore.
What do you got? What do you got, cameraman
Nick? I
Nick?
was going to ask you. Now, COVID came and it made it go away. But was it the inevitable that it was just going to go away anyways? I mean, in your opinion.
It was going away.
Yeah.
They're calling us every day to book into these shows. And
well,
they want us to come.
Yeah, Mike, are you coming back?
Well, they do. They call every day. They want us to come back, but it's just, it's just not profitable for a businessman. Now, this is just business. I would love to go do them, like George said. You would go do them no matter what. I do, because I love seeing my guys, my peoples.
Well, and I
love my peoples.
And we always had.
Yeah.
A great time. I mean, we could write a novel on our show.
Honest
series.
to God, the show.
Now, a lot of it you couldn't tell your
kids.
And
here's the deal: we made a lot of friends. Larry Dahlberg.
Yeah.
I mean, I was along for the show ride.
We had a great
good time.
We had a great time with Larry Dahlberg.
All of them.
I mean, like George said, we met Don Iovino and had and long lasting friendships with all these.
There's
people.
too many to mention,
and there's so many of them. But it really built our business because of the reach we had in the industry, and manufacturers going to all this stuff and traveling and doing all these things with the manufacturers.
How about Ish?
We built great relationships with these. We've built great relationships with these companies, which helped us out over the years when things started getting tough. They, we were the ones that they would help out because we asked for it, we worked for it, and all that kind of stuff.
It all goes full circle, Nick.
It really does.
It all goes full circle. I mean,
so the tackle shows were a big deal.
Yeah, for us. And then it just came to an end.
Now here is some. Let's get to the tackle side of things.
Oh my!
Well, first of all, let's make sure I covered everything.
Well, you know how I'd like to frame it, Mike.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I cover.
I want to frame it like this, and this is stuff that you can all relate to. These are the evolutionary, groundbreaking things in the tackle and your fishing that we experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
and I got a pretty good question for you guys to kind of transition this.
Yeah.
Whenever it's time to transition,
go ahead.
I know you got something you want to say.
Well, I'm just going to kind of button it up. That's kind of like the history of the tackle business. It's kind of like the way it went. It kind of started like this, and then it ended up to where we are today. But along the way, there was milestones.
Game changers.
Right.
Now, you guys are going to jump on here and you're going to say about 10,000 different baits that are game changers. But these are legit industry changing baits that change the industry.
The whole industry, not just the Northeast, not the Susquehanna River.
The fishing industry.
The fishing industry. Right. So we could go with all these other ones, and it took us a while to kind of.
We're not going to.
Right.
But we're going to go through.
We're going to talk about some stuff here that came up.
This stuff
came up, and got crazy.
Made a difference.
And I'm sitting here thinking, chronologically speaking, the first one that really freaking rocks it for me is the Reaction Innovation Sweet Beaver. And the reason I want to say that
at that time frame or earlier.
No, I'm not going to go earlier.
You should go earlier.
Yeah, there's stuff earlier, but this one
the
here,
Zoom Lizard.
Yeah, that was good. But the reason I'm going to say this is we had been selling Reaction Innovations for probably 2 years. And it was all right. They had a tube.
And a sweet beaver.
They had a...
That's why we started stocking it, was because of sweet beaver.
No.
Yes, it was. Yeah, it was. And I was pissed because we couldn't sell them.
No, the reason we started stocking Reaction Innovations was from a worm that they no longer make called the ball breaker. And it was a wacky rig worm with like the ends of the worm were round, like looked like little bowling balls. And when you wacky rigged it, you got that movement from that heavy.
I think you're getting this wrong, bro.
Now I'm kind of a tackle buyer for Susquehanna. I don't get tackle wrong.
I don't get tackle wrong. The show.
No, I do not get tackle wrong.
All right.
The first bait was the ball breaker worm. And then they also had a tube, which came in 2 sizes, which was a flipping tube. As a matter of fact, Robert Lee won 3 tournaments back to back on the California Delta on this tube, which gave them momentum. And then they came out with the Sweet Beaver.
The reason they came out with the Sweet Beaver
is because
Andre won
the FLW tour event on Beaver Lake.
Right.
And it just set Reaction Innovations on fire.
I beg to differ with you. We bought into Reaction Innovations
second version
Sweet Beavers by the truckload. We had a truckload of them things, took them down to Timonium, Maryland, which was the hottest show in the Northeast, and couldn't give the freaking things away. And came home with all this tackle.
In case you're wondering, we don't do any pre-production for the show.
No, George, you got to remember that. Don't you remember that?
I don't have to.
But we were in on it because we knew the Sweet Beaver, we knew Beaver Lake, we knew what the whole process, what George said, but that nobody else did. This was a long time ago. And it took a whole year for the people to get like onto that. And when they got onto that, we were the first ones in line, and we took care, we had an unbelievable process with that.
But can you guys both agree that the Sweet Beaver,
absolutely. I don't think his time frame is right on that. I mean, yeah.
Who didn't say that the Sweet Beaver was a game changer?
The Sweet Beaver was a game changer, but it was
because I didn't say that.
But because of
the Sweet Beaver was the game changer.
The timing of that thing was
prior
crazy.
to that, Reaction Innovations was struggling bait company.
It was, and we struggled with Reaction Innovations for first year. Hey,
no, Tony, it wasn't the Toro tube.
No,
it was not the Toro tube.
Boom Boom Tube.
It was the Boom Boom Tube, Tony.
Yep.
They had the Boom Boom Tube.
That's a great tube.
And they had the ball breaker, wacky rig.
Yep.
And they were kind of put them on the map was the Sweet Beaver.
The Sweet Beaver was
put them on the map.
Yeah, they got started with the Boom Boom Tube and the ball breaker.
The Northeast, it took a whole year.
And those baits never really worked that well. And then all of a sudden, the Sweet Beaver came and it changed. And the reason it changed the industry is not because of...
It's a creature bait. It's different.
It didn't change the industry because of Reaction Innovation's success. It changed the industry because it was the first flippin'/creature bait of its kind.
It defined a whole product line.
And it created a category.
Literally.
And if you want to really benchmark, the type of stuff that we're talking about, look at what changed it for you, but look at the industry. So there's not a plastics company out there that did not copy this bait.
Yeah.
It's like Mr. Twister with the twister tail.
And that's what we're saying. These are movers that everybody was like, I got to get involved.
Yeah, these are like stop the presses. This is big.
And to this day, empty pegs all the time over there because we cannot keep it in stock.
You go back to our reaction aisle right now.
They are the hottest bait ever. And that's why I'm proving this wrong to George.
He is hell fucking bent on this, isn't he?
The second year, the second year, bro, here's how it went down. This is how it went down. They had another tournament back at Beaver Lake the very next year.
That was the Smalley Beaver.
And Andre went back and won it again
with the Smalley
$200,000 tournament, and that's what projected that company into stardom.
That was the Smalley beaver.
Whatever, it was a beaver, and it was what projected it into the next realm. But prior to that, it was a hard sell. It didn't happen right away because there was no internet, there was no nothing.
Now, Tony, we're all sold out on them ball busters, man.
Yep, no more ball busters. No,
that
nothing.
That's why they were struggling because they had.
He doesn't want to talk about it because he knows he's not right about that.
Yeah, you're always right. So they had that ball buster and they had that tube. Now, Tony, before the beaver, that tube with that Robert Lee whacking them on that tube was good. Mm-hmm. But then when Andre won Beaver Lake with that beaver
twice,
they went crazy. Well, the first year was the beaver, the second year was the Smalley beaver,
and that's what set him off.
Well,
second
and it went nuts.
The Northeast took a while, and it was the second year.
Well, I got a question from the audience that was texted to me.
What?
All right. Out of the brothers, now this is honest to God's truth. What's the biggest fish between you guys that was ever caught on a sweet beaver? And I mean, people are saying Mike caught it, George caught it. I got to know.
I mean,
I couldn't possibly tell you.
You caught too many.
5 or 6 pounds. All my tanks came on jigs and spinnerbaits.
I caught some big fish on.
Hey, how about the sweet beaver as a trailer, George? You used it there?
I flip it.
We caught a lot of big fish on the sweet beaver.
I know.
We fished the sweet beaver for 15 years hard.
I know.
I mean, if you open up my day box,
that's all we would throw.
If you open up my day box,
that's all
skater,
that's all we would
Smalley
throw.
Beaver, sweet beaver.
And George is wrong about that because you flipped up a giant 6-pounder on the Potomac River with bruiser flash, or what does he call it?
Penetration.
Penetration.
But it's only 6 pounds.
It was a big 6 pound. It was the most legit.
It's only 6 pounds.
No, it was on the Potomac River in a tournament, and that tournament was, I think, a FLW.
It was like an Everstart.
It was. You won $8,000.
Well, listen. I mean, I just wanted to say, like,
mere pocket change.
Well, that was a big deal.
I had a question from the audience that I had to ask.
All right.
Plus, I boat flipped them.
All right. Here's another game changer in our lifetime. In our lifetime, we need to go to another game changer.
Oh, wait.
So let's quickly say, I feel like business-wise, in the business side of things with baits was the Zoom Lizard. I think it was a big giant game changer. The Zoom Lizard business-wise was a huge thing business-wise. I think it changed a lot of things for businesses. They sold, that company. I think that bait right there set that Zoom bait company into a whole nother.
Yeah. And to Mike's point, so Zoom bait company.
I wouldn't say it's a game changer as far as a category, but it just changed the industry.
Well, put Zoom on the map. So to Mike's point, the Zoom bait company was founded on the U-tail worm. Okay.
Yeah.
But that's like, you know.
Yeah, it was a good worm.
Yeah, it's a great worm. And if you're down in that part of the world, like
Yeah.
when we were down there fishing one day, the man said, "You boys need to get you some pumpkin seed U-tail worms up in here."
Yeah.
Up in here.
And we're saying, "Okay, Bobby." And we got us a couple bags of them and jacked them up.
Mm-hmm.
But what has Zoom in every single one of your tackle boxes, and I'm talking to all you out there, okay, is the Zoom Lizard.
Everybody.
Okay.
Everybody has
The
them.
Zoom Lizard made Zoom.
Yep.
The Zoom Lizard exploded Zoom.
Yep.
The Zoom Lizard put Zoom on the map for all of you.
Yep.
There's 106 people online right now watching.
Yep.
There's probably another, I don't know,
Thousands of them.
600 million that are secretly watching, including, whatever.
Y'all have them.
And you all have Zoom. And the reason that Zoom kicked ass, besides the fact that Eddie Chambers basically invented how to make fine baits
and fine plastic,
was
awesome plastic.
The
Lizard.
And listen.
So that was.
Well, Tony Spinelli, you do have a good point there, but we're not going to talk about that tonight.
Yep.
Holy sakes.
We do agree with you, Tony Spinelli. The Sluggo Tony, the sluggo is what we call.
How do we walk past that thing?
We didn't. The sluggo is a flash in the pan, Tony. He reared his head. He got to be the hottest dude in round for about a hot minute.
Yep.
But you know what?
It was
He gone.
You're still fishing sweet beavers. You're still fishing Zoom. And our next guest.
Yep. You're still fishing.
Can we have some, like, you know what I would like right now?
Some like music.
No, you know what I want?
Yeah, no.
I want like the
Tackle
Tonight
pump.
Show music.
Yeah. The next one.
No.
Nope.
You're killing me here.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Yeah.
George.
And now, from the great state of Hawaii, retired and sold his business for $1 billion.
The Chatterbait.
Yamamoto, Mr. Gary Yamamoto.
I thought we were going Chatterbait, George.
No, you're totally on the wrong page, son.
Well, we was going Chatterbait at some point.
Oh, we are at some point, but not right now.
Chatterbait.
Because they ain't retired. They ain't from Hawaii, and they didn't sell their business for $1 billion. So, I want to talk about the Senko.
Oh, shit.
Okay? And I want to talk about the Senko as it pertains to a game-changing, industry-changing product.
Oh, hang on. Everybody checking in right now. We are going over the history of Susquehanna Fishing Tackle and the history of the tackle business for us and what was the game changers. And
Game changers.
Go ahead, George.
Game changers.
There's some guys checking in. Don't know.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Bring everybody up to speed. So, I mean, Gary Yamamoto created the Senko. Now, Gary Yamamoto already had a successful business. I want to take you back to a time simpler, calmer, easier going. When Mr. Gary Yamamoto was pouring a hula grub. Okay?
Yep.
When Mr. Gary Yamamoto was making simple little things like this little hula grub skirts. You could buy a whole bag of just little hula grub skirts. He made a grub.
The hottest grub ever.
The hottest grub ever. But one day he was talking with his guy.
That wasn't enough.
No.
That wasn't enough for Gary.
Never enough.
Never enough.
But he was talking to his guy that worked for him from day one, who made shit happen, who built the molds, who made it work, who did everything that Gary wanted to do. He was a can-do guy. And Gary said, I was out fishing, and I had a Bic pen laying on the front deck, and I thought, if I could have a worm that looked like that Bic pen, I could probably win an FLW term too.
Yeah.
And guess what? The rest is history.
I mean, George.
Now,
I mean, I'm not the guy that wants a Senko is a little bit thicker than a Bic pen. I got a Bic pen right here.
It's a shape.
Yeah, but look at the one end of it. And look at the other end of it. That's the key to the Senko.
That's why I had to bring that up.
Yeah.
So I want to ask a question.
Absolutely.
Like, when you fish, and I won't even call it a stickworm. Other people call it stickworms.
Yeah.
It's not a stickworm. It's a Senko. The people that call it stickworms, they're a little late to the party, and they copied it.
Stickworm guys are...
Now, there's some good brands out there, Mike.
Oh, there's great brands.
There's good brands out there.
There's great brands.
Now, who has a copy?
Well, you got
Young. No, let me make it easier for you. Every single company that ever poured plastic, plus 900 million garage pro shop
bands.
Okay?
Yeah.
So, garage bands, thank you.
Garage bands. Everybody makes
But it's like a Kleenex. You don't call them tissues, you call them Kleenex.
Right.
It's like a curl tail grub. You call them twisters.
Right.
Mr. Twister.
Right.
You call your Yum Dinger a Senko.
Exactly.
You call your, whatever a Senko.
Exactly.
And why is that? Because they set
the bar,
the standard.
The bar.
They changed the industry. And plus, I heard Gary has officially bought all 6 islands that make up the Hawaiian archipelago. Just on the sales of Senkos. Okay, so That's good too.
You know what's interesting? I think out of all the baits we're probably going to mention today, the Senko is also a game changer because if there's anybody that's out there that's starting to fish, what's the first bait you can say anybody can really throw?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
It's the Senko.
Absolutely.
It's become
Well, it's kind of like the Bubba Smith Shrimp Company.
well. There's a lot of
Fish
kids.
at wacky waitlist.
Yeah, there's a lot of kids that got into it that don't even know about pre. There's a lot of people out there that don't even know fishing pre Senko. I mean, it was an absolute game changer. It's something that stands out. It's something we have to bring up in this.
Well, it's on the list, bro.
Of fishing now, Corbin.
Now, Corbin.
Now you
No. You guys got it. Take it from here.
Get your brim out.
Now,
you guys take it from here.
Get your brim out and talk to us.
What, you feeling, sir?
I got my green Corrado.
No. Again,
no.
I'd like to point out to our pre-production, it's
Hey.
usually 6:45.
Hey, we good. We got the
We're talking
OG A1 from day one.
Yeah.
Everybody copies it.
Yeah.
People find a way to improve it and make it more expensive and catch more fish on the more expensive baits.
So
Stealth blade it, whatever. Mini blade.
let
At the
me
end
put
of
it
the
to
day,
you this way, Corbin.
What's crazy is this is what started it all.
Have you ever heard of the
one.
Rad Lure Company?
That's it right there, Corbin.
Have you ever heard of the Rad
No.
Lure Company?
No.
Mike, you ever heard of the Rad
Yes,
Lure
I have.
Company? How about you, cameraman Nick?
No.
That's
Yeah.
who invented the Senko.
Absolutely.
I mean, the
father-son
chatterbait.
team.
Really?
Father-son team.
So the Rad Lure Company comes out with the chatterbait, and a SFT pro staffer by the name of Big H.
Yep.
I hope you're listening, Big H, because I ain't seen you in a good minute. Is down in Florida pre-fishing for some derby, and he calls up here and he's like, "Boys, they got this bait down here that they call the chatterbait, and you better find out who makes them, and you better buy every chatterbait that they have."
Mhm.
So me being a
Well, the story goes, we're like, what do you mean? He's like, well, I'm in a parking lot right now waiting in line. And there's a pickup truck up there selling this bait out of it. And every pro in this tournament is in line.
and all the checks being now this was like
That's
the
no
second
shit.
this was like the second week of January when the chatterbait hit it. Okay.
In Florida.
In Florida.
Right.
Crazy.
So I get on the phone, I get on the internet, I find out about Rad Lures. I call up and they're like, "Yeah, man, we know who you are. What's going on?" Well, I said, "I just got a good hot tip and I want to buy every chatterbait you have in your store." And this man sent me a box that looked like you could put a Yugo in it. And he dumped every chatterbait in his store in there loose. I mean, it was like a tossed
It was horrible.
salad.
Horrible.
And the rest, as they say,
It's history.
It's
is history. And what happened with the chatterbait was it got so successful that it changed the industry. It created a lure category.
Right.
It created a second-hand industry of like home shops. But the man that created it told me many, many moons ago, he said, "I'm going to defend my patent to my last cent." And, well, he did. I talked to him one day and I said, "How's that going?" He goes, "Well, we just sent out 53 letters. And we got one guy in Pennsylvania that refuses to comply, so we're taking him to court." And that case went to the Supreme Court.
Mm-hmm.
And that man lost.
Mm-hmm.
And that man's been on television huxting some lures over the years.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know,
that was the hell was the name of that company?
it's probably not a good thing to say it.
Why not? They
Well,
should
he
know.
still might be
No,
twisted
he's
up.
not even in business anymore.
Well, he started out with the old banjo minnow.
Yeah, what was his name?
But anyways,
What was
they
that- what was that
they
company's name?
defended
Like,
their
some kind of
patent.
Crazy company.
They created a category. They changed in industry. And again, in our trajectory, we were lucky enough, due to a tip from the Big H,
Yep.
to get in on the ground
Yep.
floor.
Yep.
You know what was pretty cool about this?
And it changed the trajectory of our business.
Yeah.
Was how they marketed it. They marketed it as a combination between a spinnerbait, jig, and crankbait. I mean, like,
And Corbin, if you would have read the write-ups that me and George did,
yeah,
back when that thing hit the market, nobody knew what to do with the thing.
You cast it out, you reel it in.
The man couldn't sell them.
The
man couldn't sell them.
It was unbelievable. It was only, honest to God, it was only 3 tournaments that put this thing into like what it is today.
Wow.
And what happened, like George said, they couldn't handle it. It was just too much for them. There's no way for them to do it. So Z-Man said that they were going to make the skirts for him, and they started making the skirts for him, and then they had some more discussion, and then they started doing all the distribution, assembly and distribution for him, and then it came to where they bought the patent and bought the company from these guys, which is the smartest thing they could have done, George.
Yeah, but
they got paid well.
What happened there was the guy that they ended up suing at the Supreme Court level was fulfilling orders and assembling baits.
Oh.
He was fulfilling orders. He was assembling baits. And Z-Man, at the time, had Elastec. They were making baits for Strike King.
Yeah.
And they were making baits for Terminator. And nobody would buy them.
Right.
But they also were the largest skirt manufacturer in the world.
Right.
And their number one client was Strike King.
Yeah.
And they made over 1 million spinnerbait skirts a year for Strike King. And they had a team. And they had a facility.
Mm-hmm.
And they said to Rad, guys, we can assemble your baits and we can fulfill your orders.
Right.
Okay? That's what they said.
Right. Yeah.
And they assembled the baits and they fulfilled the orders. Now, keep in mind.
Z-Man.
And
he got rid of the other guy.
They got rid of the other guy.
Yeah.
Now, keep in mind.
Damn it.
Keep in mind.
I can't think of what that name was.
At the time, they were fulfilling orders to dealers, but they were also fulfilling orders to every individual angler out there that bought as little as one chatterbait. So, Z-Man starts doing a great job. Rad says, you know what? This is pretty rad that me and Pop are fishing every day. And then we take Sunday off and count money. So, we would like to sell you our company and ride off into the sunset. And, of course, Z-Man has just absolutely exploded with the chatterbait, with other baits. I mean, they got the TRD. They got it doesn't matter. Whatever Z-Man touches turns into an industry-changing bait, but not at the level of, like, historical bait level changes.
George, can I ask you and Mike something, right? You guys were there. You were on the forefront of the original chatterbait wave.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, and all of a sudden, you know, they come out with the Elite, which are like, okay, yeah, I'm in on. They come out with the Project Z.
No. Z-Man came out with that.
Right. I'm saying Z-Man. Yeah.
Rad Industries came out with that bait right there.
But I'm talking about what Z-Man came out
with. That big old 5-aught gas.
Oh, Z-Man, what Z-Man did to the chatterbait is
and all of a sudden the jackhammer hits. And it's like, how do you redefine an industry you guys were part of like you guys were in that from day one. And people came in here and they're like, we want jackhammers.
Shout out to Troy Hartman.
Whoa, Troy.
Who sleuthed it out. I wasn't going to say it, Troy, but since you did, old Joe Renowski now.
Joe Renowski.
You might want to check out who's at the poker table with you there, Troy, because I'm just saying, not everybody's as pure as the driven snow.
That's it. Renowski Lures. I can't believe I couldn't think of the name.
You better watch what you say next because he might sue you.
Son. Go ahead, Corbin. I'm listening.
No,
the funny thing is about
that's a good get, Troy. That's a good get.
The guy that owns Z-Man is an incredible individual. He is an innovator. He's a business guru, gets it kind of guy, He
built a team.
He built a great freaking team.
That is
him.
like.
Yeah, he gets it. He's a businessman.
Right.
and they came up with
I
this.
didn't tell you he's trying to hire me.
They came up with this. How can you make it better type of attitude?
And they do that.
And they did it with the jackhammer, and the jackhammer came out, and it revolutionized the. It revolutionized,
reinvented the wheel,
the market of the chatterbait. It just changed it. It made it what what people think about.
It set a different bar.
It went
totally
supersonic. It went from 599 mile an hour to supersonic.
It's just like it changed.
It cracked
the
sound
bar.
barrier.
The price went crazy, and people paid it, and it was just the way it was. But that was a lot like Lucky Craft. When Lucky Craft first came on the bill, me and George were like,
"Oh,
they want to sell a bait for $15.99. Are they out of their freaking mind?"
Yeah.
And the guy was like, "No, you need to really get a grip on this. This is the deal."
Well,
and at the time, George was fishing. This is a great story.
It is a great story.
It's a great story. George was fishing the BSS individuals, right?
On the St. Lawrence.
On the St. Lawrence, and he goes through the and prelim meeting, you go through the line, and they get
you got to register.
You register, and then all the guys give all the pros these little packs.
You go. Bill Lewis has a table set up. You go over there. They give you a dozen rattle traps.
Yeah. So he goes there to this Lucky Craft guy. And
I get around to the last table.
He gives him one lure, and he's like, "Man," he said, "my brother's back home." He says, "He's been freaking busting his ass for me." And he said, "Can I get one for him?" And he's like, "Yeah, I give you." They're giving one lure. They were like,
it's two guys.
Everybody's loading shit up.
It's two guys with a table.
George, and George is like, "Hey, man, can I get one for my brother?" And he gets me this freaking Sammy 100.
Yeah, which went on to greatness.
He came into the shop.
No, you missed it, dude.
What?
When he handed me the bait.
Yeah.
He points at the package and he goes,
"Oh yeah,
Rook, it's Rocky." Now. I had seen these guys. These two guys were doing their work. They were fishing the tournament.
Do you remember the guy who
they were in a Black Ranger
running the company in California?
You mean the girl?
No, it was a guy.
Oh no.
Oh yeah, it was.
Now I hate to do this to you.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I'm sorry, buddy.
Who's the guy?
But first, I want to talk about these two Japanese guys. All right. They're running this Black Ranger with black carpeting, and I'm like, dude.
Does anybody know what the guy's name was?
Mike, I'm going to bring this up to you.
Go ahead. I'm just throwing it out there.
So I'm watching them run the river, and I mean, it's like I can't believe they didn't go through 9 lower units a day, right?
Jesus.
So, anyways, Rook, it's Rocky, Lucky Craft. We get to Sammy, blah blah blah. The man you're thinking about, Mike,
I know his
Rich
name.
Talbert.
Talbert, I knew that. I was
just
trying to test you.
Mikey Boy gets on a big bite at Raystown Lake.
Oh hell!
With the state championship coming up, and he's whacking hogs on.
It was incredible.
You guessed it, the Sammy.
Giants.
Problem
and
is,
them points up at Raystown Lake.
It's like
crazy good.
It's like getting Sammys is like scratching off $1,000 tickets.
Well, here's the deal. No, here's the deal. Here's the deal. I called George, and I think I had a couple days. I was like, "George, I'm killing him on this thing. You guys are up here next week. I'm killing him on the Sammy. You got to get him warmed up right away. It's a Sammy." And he goes, "Okay." And we had no idea what size it was, or we didn't understand 100, 100. It was just.
But it was the bait I got you from the registration.
It was this bait from the registration. It's the only one we had.
Yeah, it's the only one probably on the East Coast.
It was the only one, and they still don't make that color at all.
No, it was crazy.
It was crazy. Anyway, I'm whacking.
It was Rocky,
and I tell George, "You got to get some of these. Get a bunch for it."
So I did.
So him and all the guys, they get together. They're like
on our team.
George is like, "It's $15. You guys, got to get them." And so he buys a bunch of them in and gets them in here. They were the wrong size. Here, there's an 85.
I got 85.
And he, because the guy says, "What do you want?" And George is like,
"I don't know.
I don't know. What do you got?" He says, "Well, I got 100. I got an 85. I got a 65." And George says, "I think at 85." We didn't know what they were talking about. We had no idea that was millimeters.
So then we had to have the hundreds. Well, at this point, we had run out of clock.
Yeah, so we had
$250 Sammy 100s.
But I'm telling you,
which I still have one to this day.
And Nick, over there on that wall is one of them great big trophies over there on the floor over there. You see those big trophies on the floor?
Yep.
One of them was won, because of part of that on that whole deal. So it was cool. But, really neat. What?
Block those. So, the next evolution, and I'd like to bring this up to keep in the effort of keeping people interested, because this is fun. I'm enjoying myself. I want to talk about my buddy Paul Elias that designed my first ride at the pro level. And I want to talk about an FLW tournament on, I believe it was Lake Eufaula, when the fishing sucked. No, it was Guntersville. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And the fishing was horrible. It was September. Worst time of the year to go to Guntersville. The only problem is
somebody smashed him.
Old kneeling and reeling Paul Elias is just like, I can't even cast my lure in the water because they attack it. And he created the Alabama rig craze. And now when I say craze, and there's 100 things we had in our pre-production meeting of what we should talk about. 100.
Yeah.
But we're talking about stuff that changed, stopped the tracks, changed the industry. We talked about the Sweet Beaver. We talked about the Senko. We talked about
the chatterbait,
the A-rig. Change. I'm talking like
revolutionized.
Like you can't get enough of these baits made. And it spawned a runoff to another industry explosion. So, every single spinnerbait / jig manufacturer on planet Earth comes out with an A-rig.
Yeah.
Right?
Hey, George, speaking of that, like the chatterbait, you said it was Rad
Industries.
Yep. What about the Alabama rig?
The Alabama rig was made by a small little.
Do you know what it is?
Yeah.
I don't.
Of course I do. It was made by a small little garage mom and pop for Paul Elias.
That's awesome.
And other locals in that area. And it didn't have it. The Alabama rig originator took it the hard way. He got screwed.
He really did.
He got screwed. and it was all on him. It was all on him.
I thought he kind of did it and then so you're saying he was doing it and then Paul Elias found out about it.
He sold it to Paul Elias.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But he didn't make it his bait.
Yeah.
See, the chatterbait guys
Yeah.
and the Sweet Beaver guys and the Senko guys owned the bait.
Yeah.
They grinded their way through the mud and they owned the bait. The Alabama rig guy, you adapted a saltwater bait to the bass market. Okay.
I don't even know what his name was.
They've been trolling umbrella rigs since they've been trolling with boats.
Right.
Well, this guy was smart enough to adapt it. The problem is he didn't monetize it. I mean, God bless him. I hope he's not watching tonight because he's going to have PTSD after this show.
To be honest, here it is. I mean, it was, and thank you, Mike. I appreciate it. It was really invented in the saltwater.
Of course, they trolled him.
It was a trolling bait in saltwater.
I got some back here that are 3 feet in diameter.
So this guy kind of took it and made it smaller and did it all and blah, blah, blah. And then the history was made. But history was made. It was a changing bait. There was no category for it.
But my man didn't get paid.
I understand that.
I mean, he sold like a
that,
pickup truck load of them.
We got paid.
I think
7-pound, 8-ounce baby Jesus.
We got paid. I mean, and the industry got paid, and it was a whole line of stuff that got paid, and it changed the industry.
Well, and I think what changed the industry about it, that I found fascinating, was you had blades on, blades off, gold blades, silver blades. So you got to get a couple of these jig head wire length, swim bait size. In other words, it wasn't just about the rig. It was about everything that went with the rig.
It's $25 freaking dollars to throw that thing in the water.
And that's just,
maybe even $30.
Oh, that's before you buy swim baits. And then you got to pick the right swim baits to go with it. You got to have as George says, a locator, whether you got to have a fat one in the middle and Kytex, like whatever swim bait, I guess you say arsenal, you have to.
Well, speaking of swim bait,
man, change it.
Oh, wait. Oh, and you have to have a rod, and you have to have a reel, and you have to have a setup with 20-pound fluorocarbon or more.
But to this day, Corbin, yep. I mean, we did it. We talked about A-rigs, a month ago. 5 weeks ago. And guess what we're going to do next October? November.
Every day you're going to talk about it.
We're going to talk about A-rigs.
But
I guess what we're going to do the following year.
Yeah, but talking about swim baits.
Well,
talking about swim baits.
There was a spawn partially because of the A-rig and partially because of other events that were coinciding.
Pre-A-rig.
Yeah, definitely pre-A-rig.
Pre-A-rig.
Pre-A-rig gets kind of revved up.
There was this company.
We got a man down.
There was this
Corbin's getting sloppy.
That's all right. There was this company that took swim baits to a whole nother level. And that was the company that made the hollow belly.
And I won't say their name.
Swim bait.
Because I think the owner's a dick.
Yeah. Well, he screwed me.
I did say that.
He screwed me and George.
Did everybody hear that? Because I can re-enunciate.
And really, in the long run, it screwed himself because he would only allow certain people to sell his bait.
And he's no longer the man.
No, he's not.
You know why?
He
had no vision.
He didn't have a vision. And when guys like me and George would call him up, this is fast forward. The business started happening. Big internet companies started to come around.
And the hollow belly swim bait got insane.
And literally the big internet guys just started getting started there. And this guy just went in bed with a couple of guys and they just would not sell them to us. They would not.
Well, it was beyond that. I mean, you only have so much production.
It is.
And I get that. You can only hire so many people to paint your baits because
it is.
Like you want me to paint your baits? You're gonna have one that's called ugly. But you know what? The way the guy handled himself and the way he handled his business, he is no longer relevant in this industry.
Yeah.
And it's a hollow belly swim bait.
Yep. Now
who is now in second, third, fourth, fifth
place. Well, he created a category that everybody took over because he pissed so many people off.
But it's a fish catching technique.
It's an unbelievable fish catching technique. It's still around, relevant today. It's still something that's going to be here 10 years down the road. It's still catching fish, and people are still fishing it. And it's an incredible lure.
So, guys, speaking about game changers in the industry, and I know George and Mike, you guys have been talking about this, every week. Electronics.
Oh, well, I mean, that's the whole other side of the story. It's
when
you name it, you've been there.
I mean, I started with flashers, and I thought they were game changers. Then I went to paper graphs because they were game changers.
It's never going to end. It really isn't.
For me, Mike. And I think because we spent a lot of time in the seat next to each other.
The game changer.
Side imaging.
The big game changer, because it was, kind of was all sonar and then side imaging came.
Yeah, when we went from 2D.
And everybody freaked out.
When we went from 2D to side imaging.
And that was Hummingbird, right?
That was Lowrance.
I thought it was Hummingbird.
It was simultaneous.
Oh, okay.
When we went from 2D to side imaging and down imaging, I mean, the freaking worm turned, man. Right?
Yeah.
And we went from decades of 2D. I mean, a flasher and an LCD unit and an LCX unit, they're all 2D. They're just one's fancier than the other. One has history on the screen. But it's the same difference. But when you go to side imaging and down imaging, right?
Right.
And then you go to the next evolution, which is the Hummingbird 360, right?
Yep.
You know, Hummingbird and Minn Kota, I mean, they have changed the way we fish. And I'm not sponsored by any of these companies. They don't give me nothing.
You're sponsored by all of them, George.
Well,
Lowrance, Garmin, and I mean, you
I
gotta
don't wanna
keep your
bring that
story
up.
straight, Bobby.
I don't wanna bring that
I mean,
up.
I'm just saying, bro.
so,
You're on 3 companies, man.
you know, side imaging, down imaging turns into 360. 360 is a game changer, right?
Well, then you add in the Mega.
Well, whoa. Regular 360 changed my life.
Right.
Then I went to Mega. As they say in Baltimore, shit. Right? Now we got forward-looking live sonar, okay? And that's where we're going to leave it because we've talked about it for 900 hours.
Yeah, so that's where you're at. And guess what? A couple years from now, it's going to be something different. It's just going to constantly change. But electronics are game changers.
Game changers.
It's definitely game changers. Industry marketing changers. And I think
Well, you know, it's funny, Mike.
That's right, hon.
You're talking about
we going down on the B&O.
the next big thing. And one of the things I've been taking notice in the social media with these pros is a lot of them are getting these
Aquaviews.
Aquaviews.
Isn't that funny?
That seems
Isn't
to be
that
the next
funny?
deal.
Yeah.
But I think they're doing it to check and balance their sonar systems. I'm just saying.
I don't know.
They might be.
Aquaviews have been around for a while.
Yeah, it's been around.
I used to run one out on Lake Erie when the gobies first showed up.
What's next?
And
Bro?
you bang the camera on the
Live
bottom and
video.
500
Are you
gobies would
serious?
fly
They
up.
gotta. You know, at some point,
They got to cut it off.
I've been saying this for a long time. At some freaking point, you got to be a fisherman.
Whoa. Watch where you
I'm
tread,
saying.
yo. Because you're running it all.
I know that, but I'm just
So
saying.
you better watch yourself.
I'm just saying. At this point, you're still a fisherman.
You better check yourself before you
Well,
rickety
if
wreck
you would shut your
yourself.
trap for 5 seconds, I would be able to tell you. You know, literally, I think there's still fishermen at this point with the stuff that's there. But eventually, it's going to get to a point where, you know, how far do you go before you're not a fisherman?
Are you saying the 12-year-old from Fortnite's going to become the next BASS Elite Pro? You're goddamn right.
You ain't shitting.
Right.
But you know where it's always going to come back to needing to know is when these things fail. Anything electronics and water fail when you don't want it to.
Right.
And that's when it fails just on tournament day, right when you don't want it to.
Yeah.
And guess what? You better know what you're doing.
Well, I'm telling you right now, bro. In 10 years, you're not going to have to know what you're doing. I'm telling you. How much more how much more do you have to do before you're into another realm? Well, Mike, not much.
In 10 years, you can get in your truck that'll drive you to the lake.
Yeah.
You won't have to steer it.
So, I mean, at some point, competition-wise, you got to say, at what point are you not a fisherman? You're just
but at the end of the day, like 10 years from now, John Cox will still be cooking someone's ass. Shallow with no electronics on.
You might. It might be true.
Finding fish no one finds.
It might be true, but now you're talking about video, bro. Now you're talking about video.
But there's always a couple.
And then on top of that, now you're talking about something else. Now you're talking about something else.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to go on to this point where it's just like crazy shit.
But you have to have it set up correctly.
Correct.
You have to know how to use it.
I don't think,
and you have to.
I don't think that has anything to do with professional fishing because they're going to figure it out.
Oh, absolutely.
Those guys figure it out.
Yeah.
On our level.
You mean like Jedi?
You need to really know how to set it up and how to read it and how to do this and how to do that. So
it takes time.
Enough on that.
I have one more item, Mike.
Enough
on the game changing. On the game changing. The last item.
I got one more. Let me see that paper one.
Take a look at that paper, Mike.
I want to make sure we covered it all.
All right, make sure you go with that one.
We got time. No, you go with it.
All right, so
that's the one I want to talk about.
Beautiful. So we're going to finish up with this one. Then we're gonna build a campfire and hold hands and sing "Kumbaya" around the campfire.
Okay? That's exactly right.
So we talked about tech.
Yeah, we should talk about rods too, George.
We talk about
Go ahead.
And, we wanted to talk about
2 more things.
We wanted to talk about things like spot lock, trolling motors, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But we're not going to.
That all gives them the
We talked about
Huge deal.
baits.
but not all.
We talked about guys that changed the Rockefellers of the industry. You know, Gary Yamamoto, Rad Industries, Andre, the Giant.
Andre Albanese, the Giant.
So, I want to talk about a reel that came a little after Lou Childry. Okay. I mean, Lou Childry could get props here, but he was a little too far ago. You know, and plus he paid somebody else to build his reels. I want to talk about a company that took and changed the low-profile bait casting reel and put a target out there that to this day, everybody else wants to. It's their benchmark.
Tell us, George.
And I want somebody out there to disagree with me.
This is killing us.
The green Corrado, the old greenie.
Hey, George, what year are we looking at here?
Wait, George, are you talking about the one with the super free bearings or just the original?
Pre-super free.
Okay.
Original. OG.
Yep.
So
Corrado
we're talking
green
like
200.
90.
Wait, the ones that Pete Glusick still uses? I mean, I had to throw.
Well, the ones that people are still buying on eBay,
right?
Yeah.
For the price,
and that's all they want.
Yep.
So we're talking 90.
God Almighty.
97, 96.
Fun fact.
So the Corrado started prior to that, Corbin.
That was my first ever bait caster. Was that green Corrado?
The greenie.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. So the Corrado started prior to that, right? And it continues to today.
Yep.
As a matter of fact, every time I go down to Shimano in South Charleston, when I go into their lobby, they have a kind of a walkthrough.
Yeah.
And one wall is Corrado.
Yeah.
And I,
History of Corrado.
I don't even really look at the rest of the building. I kind of check out like because to me the Corrado wall and it's evolution, but a lot of those green Corrados, which by the way is not the first Corrado.
Whoa, hang up.
Oh,
Mike Reinhold. Mike Reinhold just checking in with us. Still have 4 of them in use. Mike,
I hope you get better.
get better, bro. He's in the hospital right now, man.
Whoa.
He's in the hospital.
Time out.
Mike Reinhold. Bro,
I was wondering where Santa was.
Exactly every year, but his wife's. Well,
Mike!
say something. I shouldn't say anything
Don't say anything.
after Christmas.
Mike, get your life right, Bobby, because
Mike.
we need you over here.
Yeah.
You will bounce through this, man. Absolutely, Mike Reinhold.
We're pulling for you.
We're
praying for you,
biggest,
and we're thinking of you.
one of the biggest fans of
Mike's an A1 from day one.
A1
He's
day
a hell of
one,
a fisherman.
and a giant kayak
He can do it
angler.
all.
Pushed that.
Yep.
Pushed that. Probably Central Pennsylvania. Kayaking was.
I think he created it.
It was created from Mike Reinhold.
The whole kayak.
I'm sorry for busting into you, George, but I
You know
I
what,
had to say
though? That right there, that's a newsflash. Mike Reinhold.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know him, he's from our area.
Yep.
But the kayak craze that you see today, he was
of
on
him.
he
Cusp.
started it.
Cusp.
But
The tournament organization,
Absolutely.
he started it. He set it up.
He was.
but you know
one of the
what's
guys.
awesome about him? He's
Huh.
also transparent.
Yeah.
And
I know he doesn't. I know he's
Now,
transparent.
I'm
And
going to
that's
say
crazy.
this.
Listen. I've known Mike since I was.
People don't even know what
Shit
he
in
does.
your diaper?
No, I'm gonna say 15, 16, and he'd be like, we'd talk after tournaments, and he'd be like, "Hey, man, this is what I caught him on. And I'd be like, this is what I didn't catch him
Yeah.
on." And he's like,
Super
"Dude,
nice guy, man.
super awesome guy, man. Like,
I want to say this about Mike.
he can catch him.
He can
Before
catch-
his
yeah,
kayak
he can catch him.
days, he ran a prop boat,
Look out!
The
and he
Fisher.
kept
Right.
Look out!
the local prop shop in business.
You
And
gotta send it, Bobby.
they actually had to lay off an employee when he switched over to kayaks.
That's so funny because, honest to God, the way we met him was he would bring props in, Mike.
Hey, Mike, congratulations on getting out today, man. I'm glad.
Oh,
Hey,
God, he's
hey,
home.
let's make a toast. To Mike
Mikey!
Mr. Mike Reinhold.
Mikey! Hey, you know what? I'm glad you're home, bro. I was really worried about it. I'm glad you're home for the Christmas holiday and with your family. That's what it's all about. Mike Reinhold, the man, the myth, the legend.
And how many Corrados did he say he had?
4 OGs.
Oh, this ain't touchscreen. Mike's got one of them Amish computers. It's not touchscreen.
So George, it's
he's got
interesting.
4
You
of
bring
them.
up the Corrado.
Yeah.
And
The old greenie.
And if you go on any type of social media and people are trying to sell,
Yeah.
they still to this day bring a lot of money and they sell so fast.
Yeah.
They just do.
So that's one indicator of an industry changing product, right? And
Yeah.
in our pre-production meeting, we tried to narrow it down, but to Mike's point,
so
how
hard.
about the rod industry?
Well, the rod industry is very interesting.
To me, it goes to one man.
It does. It really does. And
To me, it goes to one man.
And that man is Gary Loomis.
Absolutely.
The thing about what happened to the Gary Loomis and the G. Loomis Rod Company was they invented graphite. They invented not graphite. They invented the process in making graphite blanks with their own machinery. Everybody could make a blank, but they rolled this. Their whole thing was to roll a blank and use these glues and screms that would allow them to roll as much of the glue out of as possible. Because the problem with most rods is that when you flick them and they keep going, that's resin and glue and stuff. Well, they learned how to squeeze that out of there. So he invented the equipment that set his company different. And he came up with a graphite called IMX.
He went to the aerospace industry.
So it's not GL2, it's not GL3, it's not what really kind of got them going. It was IMX that really set him apart. Because there was companies that were kind of touching GL3, kind of touching some of that stuff. But IMX was the absolute game changer in graphite fishing rod technology. Do you agree, George?
No, there's no doubt. There's no doubt about it. I mean, he honed his craft on IM6, and he burned the country down with IMX.
Right,
guys. Real quick, for your listeners, what year-ish was this?
This was in the early 90s,
yeah,
late 80s.
IM6 was in the late 80s.
Yeah.
IMX was in the mid 90s.
Yeah. IM6 put them on the
IMX was in the early 90s. GLX was in 94, 95.
Yeah.
When he went to GLX
was freaking stupid.
That's when Shimano started looking.
Yeah.
And what happened there was, Gary had the vision, he had the knowledge
and the technology.
He had the tech, but he didn't have the capital.
Right.
And he took on investors.
He had investors for a long time, which
he
grew
did
their company.
But he took it to that next level. And at the end of the cycle, an investor wants to cash out.
Yeah.
And when Gary got to that point, he said, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm going to sell my company.
Yeah.
To Shimano. Yep. I'm going to sell the majority interest. I'm still going to hold on to some. I'm going to pay my investors off. Yeah. And I'm going to take this thing to the next level.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then he aged out, and Shimano completed the transaction, and now fully
Steve Radjeff now runs pretty much the whole G. Loomis rod.
You
business.
can make an argument that Gary Loomis
absolutely
still controls the vision.
He still does.
And every other rod company, and I mean no disrespect to the American rod building industry. We have
the best.
We have spoke highly of St. Croix. We have spoke highly of Cashin. We have spoke highly of other U.S.-based rod companies.
Start to scratch to finish.
And we mean no disrespect to them. But, gentlemen, your road was paved by Gary Loomis.
Guaranteed.
And so he makes our list.
Guaranteed.
And
I think
you know what, guys?
I think
that wraps it up.
I mean, I really think it does. I think it really kind of puts our industry into what it's all about. Just to recap, we kind of grew up through it. I mean, we were lucky. Me and George feel like we were lucky to grow up through the whole process of this industry that went from really like kind of pitlins to what it is today, and grew with it, and saw the change in the industry the whole way through. With the oncoming of the show seasons and the shows and what they were all about, and doing all the shows, and then the internet and how that was going to affect everything. And me and George trying to scratch our way through it, and just get into it and try to. We knew we had to do it, but we had budgets. We weren't endless budgets.
Right.
We were just who we were. We were Mike and George trying to feel our way through it. Did a good job, and we did. It kept our company going. And then the
turtle mentality.
The big box stores come about, and we just decided not to fold like a lot of companies have. And I think a lot of them folded for no reason than they didn't want to tackle it, and I don't blame them for that. A lot of these guys that folded were 30-year-old businesses anyway. They were 25-year-old businesses.
Right.
They were like,
they may not have folded due to pressures financially.
They didn't.
They may have folded due to I don't feel like taking this on.
Exactly. They didn't want to just say, shit, now I gotta freaking work again,
Yep.
And I have no problem with that, especially
it's all good.
Especially with that, I have no problem with it. But our industry is the independent tackle dealer is is shrinking, and it's something that we have to maintain, as us in the industry, we maintain it with
strength in numbers.
We have to have strength, because you don't want this industry to be owned by.
We're not going anywhere.
We don't want this industry.
We're not leaving.
I'm just telling you, we don't want this industry to be owned by
SFT,
big manufacturers, because I'm telling you right now, big companies, they don't see vision, they don't have expertise, and there's so many guys like me and George out there all across the country, and we and George know a lot of them. They only own. I know that, George.
I need a minute.
Yeah, give me 1 second here. And they only own so much of it. You know what I mean? So we all know about it. You got me all screwed up, bro.
Well, guys, I've been paying close attention to the comments tonight, and you went over the history of your shop, and it's something
Yeah.
A lot of these people are very proud of you guys, and I think I speak for them. Thanks for pushing through.
Yeah,
and doing what you guys do. You guys create an atmosphere of knowledge in a sport we all love.
Really, really, Nick, our customers, and this is the truth, we drive our business for our customers. And that's the only reason we do it. We love it. We love our customers. We appreciate it. We're going to continue to grow with our customers, and we absolutely appreciate that. And I know George has something he wants to say.
I do. Before everybody tunes off, I have, and our shows, our topic's over. I have a little product I put together, and I want to show it to you, because I got to pay for this show. Hold on a second.
Oh my God.
Really? We got to make money? Is that how you stay in business, making money? Where you at?
Listen, Fantasy Island.
He's right here.
I thought you just stayed in money.
So, I have, because it's winter, and we've been talking about
And it's Christmas. And it's Christmas, George.
Well, it's Christmas.
Got your pen sharpened on that one?
Well, holiday
Yeah,
season.
I mean, I want people to celebrate Christmas by buying themselves something.
Oh, like we do, George.
So I have put together the essential blade bait kit. Okay, and I didn't play games here. I didn't play games here. I have a Plano 3600 box. I have 2 Megabass Dyna Response blades. Okay, you're going to get a 3/8 and a half. I have 2 Blitz blades.
Love them things.
Okay,
Different ring.
I kind of tailored this to what I really like. I have 2 Vibes. I have 2 Demiki vaults.
Man, that vault is crazy.
It's bad to the bone.
It's so unbelievable.
I have 2 Silver Buddies.
Original, OG.
And then I have a
OG.
Trago Vibe from Molex. These are blade baits that we have talked about on our show numerous times. We fish all the time. We catch a ton of fish on. It's winter. You're going to be fishing this box through pre-spawn. Okay? Now, here's the deal. This kit comes with a Plano 3600 box. You're saving like 10% off of retail, plus free shipping and handling.
Okay.
So
that's a little more.
beautiful deal. Beautiful.
$74.69.
Dang.
Okay?
Dang, bro.
Now, here's how you get it, because you can't find it online.
You got to call
Because these kits are a pain in
Or
the
email.
ass to set up online.
or email.
You can call it or you can email, but please do not call tonight.
No, we're done.
Because we have been tasting the Miller Lights. And you might get 3 or 4 kits, 5 kits. Once we get your credit card number, there's no telling what's going to happen. But
I gotta
you
say
call
something.
tomorrow-
Can I say something?
if you call tomorrow,
Can I say something?
if you call tomorrow,
Call tomorrow till 1.
till 1. After 1, we're going to get back on this
You're gonna be
5-star
at Corbin's
program.
tomorrow.
I gotta say something.
You'll be at Corbin's
I
tomorrow.
got a couple things. First of all, we do these drawings, and a lot of people don't know about our drawings, right? Right, Nick?
No, but you better know because it's an easy way
It's an easy way.
to get some good stuff.
So we want you guys to win this stuff. How do you do it, Nick? How do you win stuff?
All right.
That drawing's not better than my blade bait kit.
Oh,
No, that blade bait kit is the deal.
That's the shit.
That's fire. They call that fire nowadays. That's fire.
We already got one taken. Somebody already wants one.
Yeah.
But
All right, I only have
Someone-
99 left, so
that
don't
blade
hurry.
bait kit is
All right.
the deal. But when we're talking about the giveaways, follow our social media, follow the storylines,
Yeah.
get in on it because you know what? You could be the next winner.
Yeah. And it's like all the time, right, Nick?
Yeah, we're gonna do it. We ask questions on there. We keep you entertained. We keep you, involved. And answer the
Where would you
questions.
look for it though?
So if you go on Instagram, Facebook, we'll do some things on YouTube. We'll throw some questions out there.
What are you giving away?
Well, tonight we just
Tonight,
gave
we
away
did one.
a stunner jerk bait
Yeah.
and some Kitech
Swim baits.
baits.
Oh,
Nice little gig.
Yeah.
I didn't know about that.
Oh,
yeah,
No,
and
no.
it
We,
was-
this
Am
is
I
behind-
eligible?
It was
This is behind the scenes,
it
bro.
was a storyline on
Yeah.
Instagram and Facebook, and it just all it was answering a question.
Who's
Hitting
that?
yes or no.
Grandma.
And if you hit yes or no, you got entered into the drawing.
Grandma Gottwald. Man, thanks for watching. We love you. Merry
We do.
Christmas. Tell
Tell Ronald that
Ronald.
we are
Merry Christmas.
we are
bro.
on the Ronald team. And guess what? I got
We-
one more
we
thing
are-
to say
we
before
are-
we shut out. Brother's got a hug. Merry Christmas, everybody. Brother's
I
got
know
a
about
hug.
this one.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, cheers.
Well,
Cheers.
I just want to say thank you, Corbin, and thank you, Nick, and thank you to all of our pro staff, and thank you to all of our customers for a great year again, and a great
Yeah.
history of our company.
Yes.
Without you, I mean, we wouldn't. And you guys know that we love you guys. Without all of our customers, it wouldn't be possible, and we thank you so much.
Yeah, and according to my clock and the current economic and political state of Pennsylvania, we will be having the Bass Fest show January the 14th and the 15th
Bass
in
Fest.
the house.
Wait.
Bass Fest, January
I'd like to say
14th,
one
15th.
thing that I heard at the place that I was at the other day. Shit's about to get real.
Yeah.
Up in here.
Absolutely. January 14th, 15th, Bass Fest
Yeah.
in the house. We got Great Buck, and we have Destin DeMarion signed up, ready to go, plus a bunch more coming.
We got GDP on the fence.
GDP's on the fence. He's hoping he can get away.
Work his
and
schedule
get over
out.
here. He's
Wait,
going to work it out.
wait.
But
We got Go Gomez
we got
coming
Go
in.
Gomez. We got everybody coming. We got.
I mean,
And-
I might be here maybe.
Guess what, Corbin?
What?
We got a hellacious sale. Hellacious sale,
Well-
which we don't want to talk about, and it's going to be great for
Well,
everybody.
start thinking about it because on the next week's Tackle Shop Live, we're going to have a New Year's Eve celebration. You can bet on that. We're going to be smoking some Cuban cigars. You can bet on that.
So
And we're going to be talking about some wintertime bass fishing techniques.
Thank you.
Take us to the
everybody.
house, Mike.
Thank you, everybody, for stopping by.
Yes.
Merry Christmas. And if we don't see you, Happy New Year.
Yes.
But Merry Christmas. Holy Christ, Corbin, you trying to kill us? George.
2 hours, 10 million
Good job,
beers.
Wait, wait.
That was actually a good show.
Great show.
It was all right. It was good.
It was good.
Hey, your numbers were good. Comments were good.
We had 105 most
Yeah.
of the night.
With a lot of comments.
Yeah.
A lot of good stuff for you guys. Go back and read them. There were nice stuff for you guys.
Yeah, I was trying to read them.
I'm not reading any of that shit.
No.
I don't live in the past.
Look, Carl Walker.
I like that. I don't live in the past.
Oh, freaking Antonio Gomez.
Hey.
You can just wheel his ass up
And-
here on
and-
the chair.
Shut up and broadcast.
The mics are turned off, bro.
Yeah, I know.
Bro, the mics are turned
There,
off.
let me talk to him.
Mics
What?
are
We
turned
can't have a couple seconds? The mics are turned off. They're not?
off. Shit.
Can you hear me say hello?
Hello?
There's no music? Hello?